We got stuff going on.
That's right. All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the belated last panel of the Summer Blitz. We might be late, but we're showing up strong tonight. We have Madam Crystal Butterfly, who is back on. We have Chad Cox and Matthew Zorick, who are joining us for the very first time. Welcome, everybody. So excited to have you on.
Excited to be here.
Yeah.
Fun to be here, as always.
So today I'm super excited to talk about Portal and Adventure Fantasy because you've all got some different takes on Portal and Adventure Fantasy books that we're going to talk about. For those who don't already know you, why don't we just go around? Chad, you can kick us off. Tell us a little bit about what kind of books you write specifically, and maybe one book or series you're most known for, and then we'll just go around.
Well, that's pretty easy because I've only written one book, so
It's good though.
Thank you. So my name's Chad Cox. I write middle grade fantasies. Kind of got into it just out of a whim, really. So, but I had a friend that wrote a book that was not fantasy at all, but it was always on my bucket list to write a book. So I just sat down and just started writing some words and had no idea what I was doing. And so this came out, which is Lion's Tooth Magic. I got the little green screen thing going on here, but The Circle of Friends, which is a story that has a lot to do with my daughters, actually. So basically it's an innocent dandelion wish. It turns into a grand adventure between what is kind of my daughter is the character, but it's actually, just based on her, goes in and just has a great adventure with her best friend. So that's what it's kind of all about. So,
Chad, how long did it take you to write your book?
It took me almost exactly a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You're a quick writer there.
Yeah.
That's
middle grade, so it doesn't have to be real long. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm next.
So I think Catherine's muted or is stuck right now. So
yeah, I think so.
Okay, is she muted?
I think she might be frozen.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Gosh darn the internet! It needs to work when we need it to work. That's what we created it for. We didn't create it to slack off. Humans, we work all the time, even when we leave to live. Internet never stops. It wants to take a break.
Oh,
Madam, go ahead.
Go ahead.
What are you known for? What's your main book that you just put out?
I mostly write fantasy stories in general. I have my Butterfly Tales series, which I have 2 books in, which are my Curse of the Frog Prince. Oh, camera, please. Which are I'll lean back like this. Curse of the Frog Prince books are the first entries into my Butterfly Tales series. And the Curse of the Frog Prince is alternative fantasy. I have my Violet Evergreen book, which is a fantasy story, what do they call it? Urban fantasy story. I'm catching all the fantasies. And I'm having a book come out called Realms, the Hidden Fairy, if you can see this, which is the Portal fantasy I'm coming out with this year.
Nice.
Great.
Nice. So you've been, I mean, it sounds like you've been writing for a while. How long have you been at it? I'll try to keep it going here.
Yeah, you're doing great, man.
Yeah, you're doing a good job. We got to keep it moving. Don't let internet get in the way. But I'd say I've been writing for about 7 years now.
Okay. Wow. You when Chad said that he wrote his book in a year, and I mean you've been writing for about 7 years. How long does it take for you to get a book out?
Well, it takes me less time because I'm going to try to get out 3 books this year.
Ooh.
And I'm able to plan my projects accordingly. The only book that I seem to be struggling with is the very first book I attempted to write, which is called Bloody Crown. That book, I think, is my Game of Thrones level book because it's, I'd say, easy to read, but complicated to write.
Yeah. I know a couple other author friends, and Chad, I think you're kind of lucky if you were able to get your first book done and out, where a lot of authors that I know, that first book, even myself, my first published or self-published book was it's not out anymore, but I know a lot of writers either. Yeah.
Catherine sent me a photo. They're in the dark again.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll just continue on for a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think the stream's still live, so we can go for another 25 minutes. I'll try to run it, I guess.
Yeah, go for it.
She's
We'll let
apologizing for it. I'm not sure if we're still going or.
We're still live, so
Well, okay.
Yeah.
We'll pick up the slack.
I don't know how to turn this thing off. So
Yeah. I guess I'll go. This is my first book. I guess mainly my first fantasy book. It's called Bastards of Liberty.
cool.
And it. I think I'm a little bit slower writer. It took me about 3 to 5 years to get it out. It's a grimdark book, and I jumped on this because they were talking about adventure, and I know that the book is basically about a family, and the main character Runt is attempting to meet his father, but it's a journey. So in its adventure, he meets up with a group of different people, and they go through a couple different. You want to say it's like young adultish at times. It's not. This is an adult book, but there are times where he meets a goblin that's singing. He gets to 2 towers, and there's a battle against goblins and orcs and things like that. Yeah. This isn't a play down, because this is definitely like an adult book. There's lots of adult themes in it, but the idea of that 1980s Dungeons and Dragon, almost dragon-like adventure that a lot of people read, there's still that nostalgia feeling throughout the book. So, and it's something that I hope in my next book that I can continue. So
that sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's the fun part of when you get to do adult things in a book. There are no rules. It's like, forget you little kids. I'm going to say what I want to say.
Exactly. Chad, what inspired you to write your book?
Like I said, I had a friend that wrote a book, and it was on my bucket list of things I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I literally just woke up one morning and just started writing, and had no idea what I was doing, and just kind of puked it out, if you will. And it was there
for
somewhere.
Some people.
It was there somewhere, and I found
it.
And it was quite the adventure to go on. And then found some. I'm a veteran. I found some veterans that had written some books too, and kind of got together with them to kind of learn more about publishing and all that good stuff. And that was very helpful. But yeah. And so I'm working on the second one, and it's actually harder than my first one, I think. So at this point,
yeah. What is there an inspiration for your book? I mean, what would you compare it to in the publishing world that other, I guess, writers or readers would know?
Yeah, so my favorite book growing up was Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, which is kind of why I'm on this one. Mine is not a portal book, but it is an allegory, just like Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it's very influenced by it. Kind of an allegory of the Christ story, if you will. It's you kind of have to look for it, but it's there. So yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah.
Madam, what about you? I mean, what book or what's an inspiration for one of your books that people would know, or something that you can almost compare it to?
My books, they come to me at random. Like Violet, if you're aware of an story called Episode, with this book, I'll keep it up. This book in particular, getting the camera angle figured out. But with this book in particular, it actually started out of a book story on Episode that I absolutely hated. I didn't like it, and my brain kept thinking of ways to improve and fix it. And when I did it, I ended up in the end with an entirely different story. And it was just interesting how it just evolved into something different. I can't really do good comparisons to other works because I may pull tiny things from it, but I can't really do a full comparison because the way I operate is a little too random.
Well, I saw that a couple of them you said were based on the Frog Prince. I mean,
this one. I think I wasn't thinking about that because the way the story hit me was at random, because when I thought of it, I had gone to an author's meeting, and when I went to it, they said write a shorter book in addition to your big books. And I was thinking, no, I'm working on this Violet book. I'm doing all this other stuff. I don't have the time. No. And then when I was leaving, like a brick to the face, the book just hit me. Out of nowhere, the ending of the story hit me, and it just flowed out from there.
Nice.
Okay. Understandable. Nice. I guess
Matthew, what inspired you to write a book? Your story.
I read a lot of fantasy, and I've read a lot of fantasy, and I think very similar, where I just thought I want to write my own story. I want to to write a book for myself, something that if I was in the store, I would pick it up and be like,
Sure.
I want to buy that. I want to read that. And, you know, it took time, and the initial first draft, I think I wasn't really happy with. It was just like historical fantasy, and I was still using like almost historical figure names, and I wanted it to be a lot more. So, you know, taking, you know, from reading the Game of Thrones books, from reading Joe Abercrombie books to reading those pulp books from Dragonlance and you know the Forgotten Realms books, and just kind of melding that funness together, and then
She's
seeing what I
back.
could do.
No, in the dark.
Back. Hi, Catherine. Welcome back.
Thanks. I'm going to be in the dark, so I'm mostly just going to be listening. We lost our power and our internet.
Oh, go figure.
Don't worry, we can scare everybody and make them think you're a ghost.
The very first time I've ever been on the dark on a panel.
It'll work. It'll work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was trying to lead the interview, Catherine. You got any other questions for us?
No, take it away. I'm just going to listen in.
Chad, you said your book is an adventure book. What's the main, I guess, without giving away spoilers?
Yeah.
Is there a theme to it, or an actual like peak that would grab a reader?
Let me think about that without giving away too much, right?
Right. It's hard not to give away stuff. So.
Well, it starts out like.
How does it start? How is the reader getting engaged and they go on this adventure with you? I mean, and your audience, which you said is about middle school type.
Right, middle school. Right.
Yeah.
It's a fairly girly book, which is interesting for me. So, but I have 4 daughters, so it totally makes sense.
Yeah, you wrote it for your family, so.
Yeah, I totally wrote it for my family. So, if the only people that read it are them, I'd be happy with that. But a few other people have read it so far, so that's good.
Okay.
It starts out with a dandelion wish, and a young girl finds out that she makes a wish and can talk to animals, and the adventure kind of goes from there. My elevator pitch is terrible. I need to work on it, but I'm getting there. So, yeah.
How many main characters are there?
There's basically I would say probably, well, there's actually quite a few characters involved. There's the Circle of Friends, which is a group of changelings that were set on Earth to kind of take care of life over the last few thousand years, and it kind of goes from there. There's a whole big backstory on it, but yeah. So the main character is based on my daughter, and then she's got a best friend that kind of goes along with it, and there's also a kind of a for back of a better word, a witch that kind of shows up in everything. So,
okay,
yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
That sounds like it. Yeah, that sounds like it's going to grab a young adult reader and just have them go. There's lights.
And we have lights.
Lights. That's power.
Madam, what about you? What is your I guess are your portal books, or are they adventure books? And what is drawing the reader in?
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
And what's drawing the reader into it as far as adventure or portal?
I would say majority of the books I have out right now are more really adventure books.
Okay.
My 2 new books are kind of more of a mix between portal and adventure.
Okay.
With a story I'm having called, okay, I'm all over the place for a second.
Oh, you're fine.
Can you please repeat the question? Because I'm getting too much information, trying to say too much and trying to.
What's drawing? I mean, you almost have to pick a book because you have so many. But what for one of your adventure books? What's the beginning and drawing that reader in? What's the premise to get them to go on that adventure?
I start with mostly trying to put the reader in a situation where there's something interesting going on, and they start to ask questions and get curious and want to solve the answer to their question, because it's something intriguing. Like in my book, Violet Evergreen, the story opens up with a court case, and the main character, Violet, she's a little kid. Her parents just died. They're blaming her for her parents' death. even though
Okay.
all evidence shows she did not do that, but they're determined to do that. I want the audience to be like, whoa, wait, why is this happening? What's going on? And to be intrigued by it, and to, even get excited because they're using their own discernment to try to figure out the mystery of the story.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's you have to start somewhere with an adventure or portal book, and then either you lead into magic, or if it's not a fantasy book, you just lead into that story, that detective story, or the YA-ness of it to keep moving them along. So that's interesting.
And I think I keep people interested because I also did blow up the city of Atlanta in my book. So
oh, geez.
yeah,
that's
I take
right
no
turn right
prisoners.
there.
How about you, Matthew?
I started my book with I just like any great, I guess, heroic adventure is there's a tragedy that befalls three siblings, and from that tragedy, I would call it, there's many POVs, but the main POV is Runts. He's the youngest son of three, and he is traveling across the country essentially from one small town to essentially the oldest city in the continent to meet his father, who is a famous general and an estranged dad. So he hasn't seen his dad in years. So, that tragedy of an hero's journey. It's essentially, it's a trope, right? Everybody knows those tropes. There's love triangle tropes, and there's tropes like that. But a tragedy befalls three siblings, and now one of those siblings is on an adventure just to see his dad and to find out, why did this happen to our family? Explain to him, because it's a medieval time. There's no telephones, and a pigeon isn't going to make it there. He's a young boy surrounded by a group of misfits and rogues trying to just get him to a family member. And adventures behold, again, a singing goblin and two towers that were made by elves and dwarves and things like that. So it just blossoms and turns and twists from there. I mean, there's other stuff in there. There's politics and stuff that drives the story into a potential, revolution of a country, but there's those bones of almost any great adventure is in that book. So I feel like I'm rambling, so I'll stop.
No, you're doing good.
No, you're doing good. Got me intrigued about this story.
I know, right?
So,
and
Chad, go ahead.
Oh, so I was just going to say, and so your book is in the SPIF09 competition too.
Correct.
This year, which I know a lot of people who've been watching the panels, they know about the self-published fantasy blog off and what that is. And how did you go about deciding that this was the year to put that in? Because I know there's like so many different flavors of fantasy.
I followed the contest for the last couple of years from a podcast I listened to, and I just put my book out in February, and I was actually looking for contests and way to just advertise, and I saw that it was about to go live, I think like 3 or 4 days beforehand, and I was like, I'll take a chance. Why not? It's the first book in a series which fit the rules, and I just 8:02 a.m. in the morning, I tried, and I got in, and it's been a whirlwind since. So
yeah, that's awesome. And so, Chad, I came across your book through Reedsy Discovery. And I've had a few other Reedsy Discovery books on here, but not a whole lot. Because in all honesty, I'm known for being sort of brutally honest, and not very many of the books that I read get 5-star reviews.
Oh, geez.
But yeah, how did you stumble across Reedsy and then, get connected with all of this? Because I know I've had people ask me in the past about middle grade and how hard it is to break into that genre, especially as indie, when so many parents are buying their middle grade books because they see them on the shelf at the store.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I haven't sold a whole lot. I've got some good reviews, and thank you, Katherine, because whenever that was my first time I ever had anybody review a book, because it was my first book and the first review. And it's kind of like why I tell people it's like standing on stage naked and having people tell you how you look. And it's terrifying. And I know you came back and said you really enjoyed it, and you made my week that week, and I really appreciated it. So I found Reedsy basically just searching for Googling everything, anything authorish or anything that I could post my book somewhere. I put it on there, and that was one of the ones I found, and was looking to get a review of some sort, hoping that maybe somebody would like my book. And so that was kind of how I got into some of the stuff. Just
do you
searching.
write on that platform by chance, or do you write in Microsoft Word and then just kind of input it into it?
They take I think they take an ebook format is what they did. So
Yeah, there's two different Readsy platforms. There's the one that you use for like editing and everything, and then the Readsy Discovery is where they put your book up for pickup by reviewers. And we don't get paid for anything. We just pick up books that sound interesting, and we read them, and we leave an honest review from 1 to 5 using Readsy's scale. And for somebody who has a readaholic problem like I do, it's really nice because you get to read so many new books.
Nice.
But speaking of reading and reviews, Madam Crystal Butterfly, who everybody who's been on before knows, has a killer YouTube channel for reviews. So I'm sure you're taking notes. So, Madam, you've almost had just as much review, if not more, traffic this year than what you're doing with your own books. How are you managing to write your own stuff and read stuff and review the stuff?
Well, staving off insanity is difficult, but I usually make a strict schedule for it. I look at which books, because authors send me books. I also pick up books that I just really, really want to read. And what I do is I schedule first the authors who send me the book. And I schedule out, okay, I have this many hours a day to read, this much time a day to write, and this amount of time for everything else. And keeping to that schedule is how I get through it. The only time I would really say the schedule doesn't work is when I'm reading a really, really bad book, which thankfully has only happened, I would say, 3 times. But other than that, I've been lucky. And indie authors, don't be scared. Your books are usually good. I've only had one bad indie book.
Do you, can I ask, as a reviewer, how often do you DNF a book, do not finish a book?
I always finish the book. Yeah. I'm one of those people that if I pick up a book, I have to finish it. No ands, ifs, or buts.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Nice.
Yeah. And Madam reads a very eclectic amount of indie fantasy too.
Nice.
And I'm super thankful she reviewed mine for The Violet Twisted Fate, which is the one that's getting recovered, re-edited.
Love your cover, by the way.
Thank you.
It's really fun. And I'm still plotting to read your new book.
Oh, thank you. But very,
just
very
letting you know it's still coming no matter what.
I appreciate it. But yeah, very thorough reviews. So if you're watching and you're like, oh, I've got to find out what Madam's reading, the links to all of these authors and all of their books are in the description box if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on Twitter, you'll have to hop over to YouTube to get them. I think some of you might be on Twitter. I can't ever keep up with who all is on Twitter anymore.
Yep.
I mean, I'm on it.
I'm on it too much. So.
I'm barely on it. I still haven't figured Twitter out, and I've had years.
Yeah.
I just jumped on Discord, and I'm trying to get in tune with some of the people that are on Discord, because I heard that you can get a lot of at least fellow authors and talk to them on it. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right with you because of Spiffbo getting into Discord, and it's been some great fun. And somehow I found myself stuck in a reading challenge already. I say stuck. If Andy's watching, I'm excited about the reading challenge. But yeah, so the next 6 months we've got between now and the end of the year. What's going on with you guys in the writing, publishing world? Do you have events or new drafts or new publications coming?
I'm just trying to crank back into my second book. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm about 7,000 words in and got a ways to go. So, but I had a few health problems this last year and a half, and just kind of trying to get back into things. So
life's glad you're feeling better.
Yeah.
Chad, do you have a title yet for the second book, or not yet?
Nah, no. I have a title, but it's not the one I'm going to use. So.
Working title.
Yes, working title. Yes. I've been throwing around some ideas, but I'll figure that out when I'm figuring out what the book's all about anyway. So.
It sounds like Chad's a pants writer where he's just going to throw the words down and see what happens.
Yeah, I always try to write an outline out, and I did for this second one too, but the characters keep changing things. So I don't know. It's their fault.
I don't. I mean, I guess there's four of us here, but can I just want to say that is it not amazing when you're writing and the character that you're writing is just goes in another direction, and you're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
the plot's over here, and you're going over there. That's not. No, stop.
Yep.
Yeah, my characters do that to me all the time, the ungrateful little shits.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and Madam, I'm really curious about yours because you were on during our New Year's Blitz, which is an even bigger event. So if you're watching and you're like, what is this Blitz? Subscribe, because at New Year's, we do a 3-day New Year's bash where it's like authors all day long.
Oh man.
And you told us some of your goals and projects for the year. How are those going? What's going for the next half of the year?
Well, the digital concert I mentioned to you with the theme music to my books is going slow, but it's still going. So that's going to be a project I'm still going to be working on into probably next year, but I'll keep you updated about it. As for the 3 books I told you that I'm going to publish, one of them being Wedded Bliss, which I'm on the last chapter of writing. My other book, Realms of Hidden Fairy, which is the Portal Fantasy, which I should be talking about more instead of my other books, because this is supposed to be the Portal Fantasy Conference. But Realms of Hidden Fairy is actually coming out this month on July 21st to Amazon.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And the last book I'm working on that will probably come out closer to December is my book, Goblin's Labyrinth.
Oh, that sounds like
I'm
fun.
really
Excited for that
about
one.
it.
Yeah, that sounds like fun right there.
Yeah, you get to find out more in the goblin world. But that one, now that I think about it, it was an interesting book when it came to me, because if you guys remember the movie Labyrinth,
Mhm.
that movie just came to me one day at random, and my brain started trying to make a story out of it because I never really fully understood Labyrinth, the movie. It confused me, and suddenly my brain wouldn't stop trying to turn it into a story. And then one day it just came all together to me to how to turn that into a story and getting to look at the goblin realm and how these goblins work.
It's something to like consider when you almost consider like these beings as other cultures, right? You've
Yeah.
goblins and I mean I don't mean to segue, but I've got orcs and elves and dwarves, and they're all different cultures. They're all living in the same place, and like how does that work, right? With
Yeah,
I mean,
that's fun
goblins
to
are living
build.
underground. What are they eating? What are they doing as far as civilization? Are they, humanoid, or are they, animals? So, all right, sorry, I got all nerdy there.
No, it's
all
good
good.
you're nerdy. We're writers. That's what we're supposed to be. If we weren't, we'd have to send you to a doctor.
Exactly.
Especially here in the fantasy. So
Yep.
yes, I'm super excited for that one. I love goblin books, but I have not been brave enough to actually like finish writing one and put it
No, I
out.
mean, I dare you to do that too. I got you to write about frogs.
And that turned out to be a pretty good epilogue right there. If I do say so myself, that was one of the ones I did on a dare from a previous year that Madam and Sky were like, you have to write a story with a frog prince in it. And
Wow,
yeah. So at the end of
that's a heavy dare.
at the end of my almost grimdark novella, the one that's free on my website, The Godmother, there's a frog prince in that one. So at the very, very end. It's not a happily ever after necessarily, but it is for the frog prince. So
Well, I do like a good
That's
final.
important.
not the main story. But yeah. So yeah, Matthew, what's going on while you're waiting and I guess productive lurking to hear whether or not you survive the cuts?
I don't know if I'm going to survive the cut of Spiffbo, but we'll see.
The competition is fierce.
So I just should say this needs a map. So I've talked to my cover artist, and he's a very busy person, but he's going to look into it. And that's, I guess, one of the big things for me is I need a map for my current book. So I'm looking to get a map installed in that. And if I make enough, I might do a hardcover of it, which would be a lot of fun. I'll use the same cover, but possibly change the colors on it. And then I'm currently writing the sequel. I did some writing today, and I finished 2 arcs. There's multiple POVs, so at least 2 of the POVs are done. Chad, I don't mean to put you down. Like you've got 7,000 words in. I've got 100 and 1,000 words in, and I still need about 40 to 60 more to even get close to being finished.
Yeah,
so
that's right, middle grade.
It's still a long ways away. So,
See, as
but
an
I'm getting
epic
there.
fantasy writer like Matthew, I would have so much trouble getting my books down to middle grade acceptable standards. It would be so hard. I have mad respect for anybody that can do that level of world building in a book so short. I'm just like, ooh.
That is
just
true.
at the level my brain is at. So, so middle grade.
I mean, Chad has to think like a 12-year-old almost for the entire book, because they're seeing the world in as wonder and innocence and everything, and I'm seeing the world as this bitterness and darkness, and trying to keep a little bit of light in there to keep the reader going, knowing that bad stuff may happen in the sequel and bad stuff happens in the first book.
And then Madams walks the line between the whimsy and the dark.
Yes, I do.
That's why she's got 7 books
and
out.
false security.
I started co-writing some works with some veteran friends of mine, and it was definitely not middle grade, and it was interesting to say a few cuss words while I was writing, which was kind of nice. So
it's not you, it's the characters.
It's not me. Yep. It's not me. It wasn't me. Yes, but it was an interesting exercise for me for sure. So.
But nice to have a book that you've written that your family, that your kids can read. My boys are like, they know the covers of my book, and they're like, oh, that's mommy's book, but they have a long time to wait before they can read mommy's books, because they get a little dark. It's like, let's start you out on The Hobbit and see how you do with that. Right, we'll go from there.
Right.
But yeah, thank you all so much for coming and joining and talking about your books and sticking with me with I'm here and I'm not here, and the power says no and the power says yes. It's been so nice just to get to meet all of you.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on.
This is fun. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Anytime you want us to jump on again when there's a thunderstorm, we'll be there.
Yep.
Yes, 2 times in a row.
That's crazy.
And Matthew, if you ever want to come be a guest host on my channel, you are welcome.
Good job.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Yeah,
I went to school for journalism, so I'm good at it.
There you go.
There you go.
Yes, I wish you all the best. I wish you best of luck with your Spiffbo entry, Matthew, and everybody else with your book projects. And hope to see some of you back for the New Year's Blitz without the storms, maybe.
Maybe.
All right, take care, everybody.
All right, take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.